Hi YouTube, I'm Annie Johnson and I'm drunk. I'm intentionally. I have been challenged. So there's this like cool thing on the internet called drunk history, where a person gets really drunk and explains history, and then like someone was like, hey, everyone should do this, but instead of just history, they should just talk about whatever they're passionate about while really drunk. Challenge accepted. Don't fall down, glass. Yeah, good glass. I love you, glass. I am going to explain the very basics of outlining a plot while drunk. And I'm going to outline the plot of 2020. Dun, dun, dun. But first I need to get, well, I'm already drunk. I pre-gamed this, but first I need to make my drink. So we're going to come down. There we are. Hide the wine. That was just for pre-gaming. This doesn't fit on bookshelves. Okay. For this, we're making a very special drink. I invented this a while back. It got me through the presidential debates 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. And it's going to get me through this. But until now, I had never had a name for this. But here we go. First, the mixer. I'm going to put half Red Bull and half absinthe. That should be fine. Just eyeball the whatever ratio sparks joy for you, because this drink is called the 2020 and it's gonna suck no matter what you do with it. I wish I had like a little twist of lemon, not that it would help the flavor, but like it would make it feel fancy as I suffer. Unfortunately, I don't have any lemons, and going out and dying of a pandemic for them doesn't seem worth it. So maybe I've got something in the kitchen. Okay, I've checked the kitchen, and my options are aromatic bitters, paprika, and a New Orleans spice blend. The latter two I don't think go in drinks, so we're just gonna have the two straight. Cheers. Tastes like 2020. Yay! Oh no, that's actually really hard to take down. Oh my god. Okay. More Red Bull. Sipping drink. It's a sipping drink. You know, it's not that bad once you get used to it. Huh. Anyway, I was making a video, and I think that video had a point. Right. Outlining. So this is a super basic version of outlining. When I am preparing to write for a novel, I do an outline like this for each point of view or important character, and it has much more detail. I actually have like character sheets that I fill out for the whole like plot arc and character arc and stuff. But for today, because my attention has gone down, I'm just going to go with a couple of basic points. So you start off in what is called the normal world. The normal world is best described as that meme of the dog in the burning building. It goes, this is fine. This is fine. It's all fine. See, in the normal world, you want to establish that your character has a problem, some lie that they are not willing to address in how they believe the world works. Now, their life might suck, right? You might be Hunger Games, and the lie is that they just have to accept the horrible treatment that they're under. Or you might be on top of the world, some like super successful, wealthy person, but you see hints that their life isn't perfect, that they're just not, something's missing, something's not working for them. And no matter how much wealth or success they have, it's a problem. I'm going to move this light closer. Being drunk has made me very acutely aware of lighting for some reason. They actually go together really well, because the sweetness of the Red Bull counterbalances the bitterness of the absinthe. But the badness of both of them just Anyway, in the plot of the year 2020, the normal world, the idea that this is fine, the flaws in the problem start to show themselves. There's a continent on fire, sure, but you know it'll go out. It's fine. It's fine. And there was, like, we almost went and started World War III over something in Iran, but it's fine. I mean, there's always almost a World War III, right? Right, guys? Right? And I mean, yeah, the world's superpower, the wealthiest nation on Earth that's ever been, that has like more nukes than anything, seems to be showing all the signs of late stage dementia, but it's fine. An election will fix that. We just gotta hold on, and things will fix themselves. The world's fine. There's a few problems. I'm sure if you just ignore them, they'll go away. Yeah, that's what the normal world is like. Then we hit the first plot point. First plot point is the change from the first act, which would pretty much be the normal world, to the second act, when the story starts and shit is happening. Right, so the first plot point in this would be the lockdown is declared everywhere. Right, so global pandemic, the world has changed. The normal is just gone. It is irretrievably gone. That is the point of the second act, is that your protagonist, in which case the human, I guess in my case is the human race right now, they cannot go back to normal. They cannot go back to it's fine. The problems that have been plaguing them have gotten to such an extent that there is no going back. They must adapt and overcome. And the second act is really just the adapt part. It is reaction. It is, oh God, how do I survive the next thing? So in the case of 2020, which is I guess it's a very literary novel, because like that whole act is just sort of an internal dialogue of people dealing with the fact that they're not allowed to go out and see their friends or hug anyone. It takes some getting used to, and there's a lot of distractions to try to keep them going, right? We all started a sourdough starter, except for me, because my diet doesn't allow sourdough starters. My diet also doesn't allow all these drinks, but today's an exception. Yay, load day. And, there was external distractions like murder hornets and meth gators, and half the United States apparently flooded. The news wasn't really covering any of that because it wasn't that important, I guess. So then we get to the midpoint. The midpoint is where the character becomes proactive. Something happens, maybe externally or maybe internally, that the character says, fuck this, I'm going to start overcoming. I'm going to fight back. This is not acceptable. The world is not acceptable, and we are going to change it. Now, in at least the case of the part of the world that I see, which would mainly be the United States, the midpoint came when George Floyd died. People were like, fuck it, we are protesting this shit. This is not acceptable. There's a lot of problems in the world, and this is one we can fucking fix. And we protested. And we never stopped protesting, like, fucking, what is it, months later? So proactive, good. But the antagonistic forces are going to come out and try to stop your protagonist from doing the thing. And in this case, that's police riots. Yay, police riots. What would be in the news if it weren't for police riots? And so in this case, the antagonistic force is the police, as it is with every good dystopia. That's really not the genre I wish we were in, but here we are. So the police rioted and shot lots and lots of tear gas until they ran out of tear gas. And then some cities that ran out of tear gas were like, oh, we're going to declare a moratorium on tear gas for a month until we get more tear gas. And the people just fucking kept on protesting. And, to skip forward through months of protest, ironically made possible by the fact that everyone is out of a job because of COVID. Here we are, and so I'm just going to keep drinking till the words come back. The trick to drinking in 2020 is to take small sips, but just keep going. You got to finish it. There's no other option. But you want to take it in small sips and pace yourself. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Oh my God, I totally forgot. Okay, I should have started with this. So to start your character's arc, you want to figure out the lie and the truth. So your character believes some sort of lie about how the world works, some false thing, right? You know, Ebenezer Scrooge thinks money is all that's of value. And his truth is that other things are of value, like love and friendship and poor orphans who are dying of something. And you know, maybe your character thinks, I'm really stretching for another novel to figure out here. Oh, I don't know if any of those help. Let's see. Oh, that's a terrible example. Right, or like Doctor Strange thinks that he's like so clever that he can win at anything. And then he has to come and accept that the only way to beat a godlike being like Dormammu is to just lose continuously for an eternity. Gilgamesh thinks that like he is so hot shit that he can get away with anything he wants, and then he has to accept the truth that like other people are also cool. Actually, that's just the midpoint of the Gilgamesh saga, because that's when he meets Enkidu. Then he has to accept the truth that like mortality is a thing. Yeah, I guess that's the second half of the Gilgamesh saga. The Gilgamesh saga is really hard to explain the outline of because it's fractal in nature, which is honestly super cool, but hard to describe. The next part, and we're getting into the theoretical parts of 2020 because we're catching up with where I'm actually recording this. After the midpoint, you've got I would call it the third act, in which the character is proactive. Others would call it the second act, part 2. I'll go on that rant some other day. And in this, the character is proactive and fixing problems and fighting the antagonistic force. And that comes to the second plot point, third plot point. I don't remember how words and definitions work. But we come to another plot point. Anyway, the second act ends at the third plot point, which some might call the darkest hour. So that should be around August. And who knows what the darkest hour is going to be. Kind of depends on what truth and lie you're building off of. But, you know, maybe the United States is going to go into a full fascist regime with unmarked white vans kidnapping people off the streets for disagreeing with the government. People will say, fuck that, rather vehemently. Maybe it'll be murder hornets. Who knows? It's 2020. You can never guess what's going to happen. Oh God. I forgot to sip. Oh. So in the darkest hour, the third plot point, the character is forced to analyze their life and think what is actually important to them. By this, they start onto third act or fourth act, depending on how you describe it. That last act is basically typified by them having figured out and sorted their shit and going on to fight the bad guy, the antagonistic force, to defeat whatever is the thing. To defeat their lie and embrace their truth. Again, we are now talking about the future, and I can't clearly state what's going to happen. So we should expect between August and I guess the climax will happen around November. That seems rather on point that the climactic battle will be in November. But yeah, so around the US elections, there should be a climactic battle of good and evil, in which hopefully good wins, knock on wood. Then we will have a nice denouement for the holidays, which, I'm looking forward to, assuming life actually follows a script, which It frighteningly has been for the last few years, so I'm gonna keep hoping. Yeah, then we'll have a moment at the end where like everything is set right by a authoritative figure. I don't know what to say about that in this video other than I hope it works out well. Knock on wood again. Anyway, now there are problems with this idea of taking a real life year and putting it into an outline. It's not great writing. I'm just going to say that. I'll say that for the last several years. The writing team for reality sucks. I mean, literal raw sewage backflowing out of the EPA a couple years ago. Too ham-fisted. The Eagles dying off, too ham-fisted. The Statue of Liberty's light going out like a month into the Trump administration, too ham-fisted. Symbolism. Nazis and juggalos fighting in the streets. Too much. It's too much. I feel like we're in the 5th season of Babylon 5 or the extra season people didn't expect of whatever show you like. We got the B-team writers and it's just not the same. It's a little too on the nose. Speaking of this year, I was speaking of this year, wasn't I? Okay. Yeah, speaking of this year's problems. Okay, the break from the normal world being forced by a pandemic. It feels very Deus Ex Machina. No offense to whatever deity designed a plague that primarily affects conservative voting baby boomers and spares the young. It feels like a Deus Ex Machina. Like the characters did not drive the events, and this is actually a problem I see in a lot of dystopian fiction, that empires generally fall, historically speaking, because of a natural event, an external, uncontrolled natural event, right? Pompeii erupts, the Black Plague comes down, COVID-19 covers the world. But because these are not driven by any character choices, they feel forced, right? That is what a Deus Ex Machina means, is that something outside of the characters driving the plot. And because of that, the story does seem to suffer. It's really hard to write a dystopian that's accurate because in most dystopian fiction, the characters entirely do the revolution, but in real life, people aren't 100% of the equation. Dictators often strip their empire down till it has no safeguards against the random chance of life, and then life happens and fucks them up the ass without lube, and that's when they fall. I'm so confused about where I was in this. I've apparently finished all of my notes here. It's hard to write dystopian fiction because that random element is so crucial in historical reality, but feels unfulfilling in real life. Anyways, the pandemic feels like a Deus Ex Machina, as the murder hornets and the meth gators also feel forced into the plot line. I'm just going to keep sipping. Supposed to end on some sort of note here, like click the like button, subscribe. I am way too drunk to finish this. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I'm not horribly cringing while editing this sober. Life advice. Record drunk. Edit sober. Take care, everybody. Hope you're surviving 2020. Oh, I hope hitting my shirt like that didn't bother or fondling the microphone doesn't bother the microphone. Both hands up. Okay. I'm working this. Sip, 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 sip. Needs more Red Bull. Needs so much more Red Bull. Oh God, why did I pour that much absinthe in? Okay. Maybe I'll film a few more videos to get through this drink here. That should be entertaining. That'll be a great take on the Secret Garden. So murder hornets. Everyone was like, well, that was just a random, like, red herring. Nothing's going to come of that now. Well, apparently, scientists are frantically trying to track down their hives because if they don't find them and eradicate them in time, by September, you know, the climax of this story, the murder hornets are going to have a breeding season and they're going to start spreading until they're uncontrollable. And then America is just going to have murder hornets as a normal thing. So that's happening. Fuck yeah, murder hornets. I don't know where I was going with this. End of story. I may have mixed my 2020 a little too strongly because it's 3 hours later, 4 hours later, and it's like 3.5 hours later, and I am still having trouble standing. Hi, I'm Annie Johnson. Please like and subscribe.